What's up?
Yeah, dude, what's good?
How
Let's
you
go.
doing? Let's go. Yes. Let's get into
Good.
it. Hey, man,
I'm good. Good, man.
you
I'm
recovered from Athens?
yeah. It was sick. Did you watch any of it?
I did see some of it. It's always hard to tell on like the computer. I'm like, it looks like they're going pretty hard. It looks pretty fast. Like there's not a swarm ever. People aren't moving up too easily. Was it just strung out the entire time?
It was fast. I mean, it's like those big races, man. They like the big crit in particular are like a a totally different sport, you know? Like it is not road racing. It's like it is its own thing. Like it's not even a local crit. Like a local crit is completely different. Yeah. I mean, I know you know. Like I see you cheesing. Wait. Are we recording right now? Or are
Dude,
we
we
just
just
listening?
roll. We just
Oh,
roll.
all right. Let's say yeah.
No, man, I think
Let's
no,
go, dude.
that's a great yeah, we're definitely putting that part in. I think it's that people that haven't had the chance to do those. I remember the first time I did Iron Hill, which I don't think is outside of Philly anymore. It's classic rectangle, four corners, obviously, with one long side being downhill. So people are crashing into hay bales because you're going like the slow laps, it's 35. And I had never done it was back when NRC was around, did an
Mhm.
NRC crit. And so it's like preem first lap, everyone's going mayhem,
Go crazy.
just
Yeah.
redlining for the first, I don't know, felt like the whole race. I was super pumped the third year I think I finished. You know, it's one of those races there's 50 guys that might finish. It's just
Mhm.
shrapnel
Just
off the
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And yeah, first year just got dropped real heavy. But it's yeah, well, you guys had I'm thinking Pedal Beaumoyer. What's his real name?
For Brock, yeah.
Brock.
So honestly, yeah. So our team like ride bikes was we had Brock in the break, and in all honesty, we fucked up because he was a lap down. Like he took a free lap apparently for like his seat post had slipped, and they weren't giving out free laps for like slipped seat posts.
Yeah,
And
that's not a mechanical.
yeah, but like I don't think they communicated that appropriately to him, and so like we kind of got stoked that he was in the
Uh,
break, and then so he just ended up like getting back on the lap, getting back on the main lap that the field was on.
but they put him at 15th or 14th or
I,
something in the
I think that
results.
was no, I think that was his placing because
Oh,
he lapped
really?
back on and then did okay in the sprint. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So like I think if he hadn't have like or if he had been on the lead lap with the lapped up group, then he would have gotten like fifth or something. Like
mhm.
it was pretty crazy. But
So not, I think that stinks. I mean that's like there's such a fine line, and if your, derailleur messes up, that's technically not a race mechanical. That's like a bike issue. It depends on the
yeah,
official. What you can do, and I don't know if I should say this, but it's like, your seat comes loose, you put your foot down at the next crash and lay your bike down. So technically you
yeah,
went down, and then you say, hey, my seat
yeah,
is loose because I just got tangled with this crash. And it's like, well, I think if they
yeah,
like, okay, this guy put enough thought into that, then we'll let it slide. But no pun intended. But
yeah.
yeah, it sucks to have that happen in a race.
Roll up your spandex leg and scrape yourself up a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
always carry a knife so you can give yourself a few scratches. Throw some pebbles in there.
yeah, let's
Went
go.
down.
If the EVOQ audience gets anything out of this podcast, it's like you cheat in those big
Yeah,
crits.
or you're cheating. No, man. I mean, I was in a crit with
No.
a very fast person who wiped out and took a free lap last year, and that's not a crash. You overcooked a corner, and they took a
Yeah,
free lap and won the race and whatever.
yeah,
So
it's
just
your own
ironic because
fault.
they
That's
were mouthing to me that I was barking about different rules, and I was like, "That's funny because you broke that rule." But anyways,
what race was
um,
that?
super small crit. I'm not even gonna
Oh,
name it.
okay. All right.
It was not important. It
Oh
was a
yeah,
local crit. Yeah. That's and so this is good though because um I don't want to use myself as an example, but it's I think anyone that's on this podcast can relate to that. The difference between local crit, I can do okay to well at those. Big crits, I do not have that skill set. You got to
it,
be very fast. You need to be amazing at cornering. You need to just be savage at super intense riding for an hour, and that's just
yeah.
not what
I've
I'm good
talked
at.
to like some pretty elite dudes about this, but like if you I'm trying to think of a couple examples, but say like you're racing in Europe, you're doing like big stage races or something, and you come back and do like speed week here, like that hurts you for those big, like, 4 hour stages. Like, you're gonna feel bad in those after a week of just sicko mode hour races. So
Sicko
definitely a different,
mode.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely a different skill set.
totally. What's okay? So, well, for people, this is the intro then. Forrest Lee Howard, aka the General from Ride Bikes. And any quick
uh,
blurb on who you are before we jump into this? Thanks for doing it, by the way.
yeah, dude, yeah, this is hype. It's my big break right here, being on the EVOQ podcast. Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go. um, I'm just honestly like a cycling hobbyist, I guess a bike bum. Like I got into cycling when I was in college, and I was probably like 19 or so when I did my first race, 1920 maybe. And I graduated and I couldn't race for a while. Like I was like decent, but then I like not racing after graduating, like just working like big weeks. Like I was just so hungry for it, so I got back into it and like quit my job and went and worked at a bike shop. So those are probably like bad life decisions, but I was really miserable in the job I was in, and I was hungry for cycling, dude. Like,
Dude,
you know,
what were you doing?
uh,
I didn't even realize that. What were you doing right after
I, I
school?
I worked for an environmental like consulting
Oh, yes.
company.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
Man,
was just
I
like,
don't think so at all. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that's the best decision because wherever
oh,
this
dude,
takes you
yeah,
is, I mean, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I guess, yeah, you're right. Think looking back at it, as like it was such an important decision for my mental health and like well being. I needed it for sure.
A little bit more out there. What have you learned about cycling that's now made you better at cycling?
I'm in cycling for fun. Like my power meter hasn't worked in like a couple months, and I don't really care, man. Like the just like having fun doing it is what makes me hungry and like want to get better. And yeah, like I would say just the ability to have fun and not like, because it is like when you get down to it, it really is like suffering, like it you got to really like focus on intervals, and you got to hurt a lot. But just like stepping back and being like, dude, this is so sick. Your average person who's like our age or whatever, like doesn't get these wild experiences. So like stepping back and like looking into it from like a outside perspective and being like, look what we've done, dude. Look how fit we've got, and just having fun in that space, like really, I think drives me to improve personally.
So, what would you consider a wild experience that sprung from cycling?
I mean, dude, like the chances to travel, like we've
Yeah.
had, just because we're okay at riding our bicycle, it's like it's insane. Those are my I know we've so to your audience, I raced with Brendan in Ecuador, I guess 2 years ago now, or a year and a half
Hmm.
ago or so.
Yeah.
And it's just like those like insane kind of international experiences, and just wild places. Like it's like you just, yeah, it's undescribable. It's like you just get journeying to another world, and you're just a passenger on an insane
Dude, yeah.
insane adventure. So like that, yeah, those are my
The
favorite.
for people that might not have followed me on Instagram when I was on that trip with Forrest, and we did some rides after the race was over out of Antuntaki, and I have told this story to people and have tried to explain it, but man, also Forrest and I, we've only known each other since that trip, really, and so the only bike rides we have ever done together are absolutely insane mega. When you came to North Carolina, we did like
Yeah, that's
the baby ride was 10,000 feet of climbing. We were pretty dead after the weekend, but we went on this ride in Ecuador. We get out of this little town, we do some climbing, we go over through these like farm places, and we come to this road where we're gonna climb up. There's a KOM. I think you went for the KOM that day. And who's that little Ecuadorian guy that's ridiculous on Ineos who had it, I think? Um,
oh
Carapaz.
here,
So we do this
yeah,
crazy hard climb. It's super steep. And then we adventure over to this little tiny town, and to get there we're climbing through fog, and it was one of those times where we pulled. I never stopped for pictures. Oh, like, we have to stop to take these pictures. Like, the fog was creating mountains next to the mountainside that we were on, and there's this wild cattle roaming through the grass. And we get to this town and we see this guy and we buy these Cokes on the side of on the side of the road with some like dogs chilling there, and they're like 40 cents. And it was, even this is not painting how incredible this adventure was. And so I love how you said, just because we're okay at riding bikes, that thing happened. And we said there, if we didn't have bikes here, there's no way we would see this town. Why would we ever?
Yeah.
We were 60 miles outside of, I don't want to say civilization, that's rude, but out of main trafficked roads.
I mean, yeah, we were in rural, like very rural Ecuador, and it like just deep in the Andes, like, you know, it is like the roads ended where we ended up, and just turned into dirt, and just went into, you know, just the abyss, just kind of farmlands. And yeah, like those experiences are certainly, like, I'm like so insanely grateful for cycling, just because it has like broadened my horizons in those kind of ways.
And just so people who might be listening, like, oh, this guy sounds just like he's just in it for fun. He doesn't use a power meter. Forrest came in 5th at amateur road nats last year, which, if you don't know how hard that is, it's an incredible result that I would be so extremely proud of. So this dude rips. So he sounds like a free-spirited, maybe just cruising around, but he's fast as hell and very humble person. So I want to make sure people realize that. Or maybe whose training or racing intrigues you? Do you follow anybody that you're like, what are they up to with now so many people posting stuff on Strava or just the internet in general? Or are you kind of more solo in your show?
And in all honesty, I haven't like looked at my Strava since probably December. Like, well, that's not true. I will, like, you know, I think you have sent me a ride, or, you know, people send me rides and stuff. I'll check out like routes and things. If someone sends me like some sick result or something, I'll, you know, give them kudos on their race. But I mean, in general, dude, I have not looked at Strava at all. As far as like training advice or like things, you know, like athletes who inspire me, I always kind of look to Brock. Like, he's just trained, like, he's kind of like you in the fact that, like, you guys train like such fucking savages. Like, you like when I go to ride with you, I'm like, all right, like, I'm gonna get my ass whooped, like, it's gonna be good,
dude. No way.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Brock, I'm humbled that you would say that.
No, Brock is the same way. It's like he you know, he trains like such a sat. Like, I wake up and I'm like, all right, like, I know these dudes like you or him are just out there like absolutely grinding. So I like gotta wake up and get on the bike. Like, there's no substitute for getting on the bike and spinning your legs. Like, every rotation of your legs is, you know, blood pumped that is in the bank.
Totally. Oh man, yes. I look forward to our next smash, whenever that is.
Yeah, dude. Wait, what's the weather like? Are you in Banner Elk right now?
Blowing Rock. I'm in Blowing Rock.
Yeah, Blowing
It's actually been nice. I mean, it's definitely changed from Florida. It's 35 in the morning. It reaches up to like 52. It's a funny 52 though. When the sun's out, it feels good. The other day, I was pretty chilly. I should have had booties on. Like, my feet were getting cold, and it was 4 hours in, and then it was one of those times where it was drizzling. I'm like, I got another hour. I can do this. And so I'm going down Shoals Mill, and it like turns to rain. I'm like, oh, damn. So I U-turn and kind of race back up. And I rode the cloud for a while. And this was like, actually, no, sorry, 3 hours in. I rode that for like an hour, and it was like drizzly. I was like, whatever. And then it started to rain. I was like, yeah, I'm tapping out. 4 hours is fine. So,
dude, yeah. I mean, give me a couple months, and give me one more month once it really heats up.
It needs to warm up.
Yeah. That is it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's another thing I guess people should know about me is I'm allergic to the cold. Like, I hate riding in the cold more than.
I might be softer.
I mean,
I'm so soft now, and I don't care. I'm like, whatever. This is how I'm rolling. You're talking about not having a power meter these days. So how do you put together training? How do you you're talking about fun, but you're still crushing. What are you doing? How do you do it?
I am definitely just kind of going off. I mean, I guess it sounds cliche almost, but just straight up feel. Like if I feel like complete ass one day, I'm just like, dude, I'm not going out. Like taking a bonus day. But yeah, I mean, I'm certainly going out and, building every week.
How do you know?
I,
How do you know you're building if you don't have any? Do you use heart rate? Are you just doing like
I'm
specific
not
climbs? Do you use...
I haven't used my heart rate monitor in a while either. But yeah, really just feel, dude. Like I will go back. I'll start using my power meter probably again in the summer. Like, it's obviously the most useful training tool you could possibly have. But yeah, I would say straight up just riding my bike, trying to get out as much as possible. Like feeling, if I feel bad, take a couple of days off.
I think, not to piggyback what you're saying, but I think RP is super underrated, I guess. It's there are a lot of times when, people get stuck. I think power is great, but people get so attached to these numbers and then they don't learn how to listen to themselves. And I think there's days when, and it comes more with experience, when you push through the tiredness and the fatigue, and there's other days when, just like you say, you're like, no, man, I'm blasted. Like, I don't care that Training Peak says 3 hour ride.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to sleep. So you had mentioned if you're not feeling good, you wouldn't go out in general. Let's say you hit a spurt where now you're super tapped into how you feel because that's how you're training. What do you do if you aren't feeling good? You have a week where you're like, I just feel like dookie. How do you just rest more? Or do you would like any off the bike stuff that you have to do to try and like get back in the groove, or what's the process?
Dude, I foam roll and stretch like pretty heavily every day. So like if I don't like foam roll and stretch pretty thoroughly before I go to sleep, I'll be like, I'll just be in bed and I'll just be like, damn, I feel so bad in here. So like I'd say like, yeah, just how I feel trying to sleep, like how my sleep is. Yeah, like I guess just really paying attention to your body, and yeah, just feel total
What
feel,
is that?
man.
Can you go in on that? Because everybody says pay attention to your body. What does that mean? What is that?
Like
What are
like
some sensations that you have?
I would say just being tired. Like you can tell if you're smoked. Like say you took a rest day and you just like you're going to bed that night and you just can't wait to get in bed. Like there'll be days where I'm just like, oh, I need another rest day, and I'll just be just conked out like instantly at 10 o'clock or whatever. So yeah, I've been kind of like going to bed early too. I've been living that Brendan life, trying to get up
Let's
early.
go. Let's go to bed.
Let's go to bed.
I think one litmus that I haven't really heard many people talk about that I use every day is if coffee doesn't make me like, yeah, whoa, what's up? I'm like, oh, I'm pretty fatigued. Okay.
Yeah, that's
And
actually a good measure. Yeah, like coffee will light you up, and if you're having your coffee and then just dead afterwards, like
it's a bad
yeah,
sign.
yeah,
And my eyes, I look in the mirror, my eyes look a little shook. It looks like I'm like hungover, came off a bender, and I'm okay. Rode maybe too many miles. But so okay. What's your best attribute in cycling, and how do you use that to your advantage in racing?
my personal best attribute is, I would say we'll do say like a physical attribute, like how, like in my rider profile, I know you know this obviously, but I'm pretty kind of like punchy. Like I can like surge with, a couple hard efforts, like one after another. I mean, I'm decent in like big crits just based off the fact like I just kind of punch. But yeah, mentally maybe I would say the fact I haven't trained with my power meter in a couple months, and I'm just going for vibes, dude.
Going for vibes, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I know people for sure where their numbers just get so in their head, and like, I can think of one friend in particular who wears his Whoop all the time, and he's like if his recovery's down, it blows his head. He's going to have a terrible ride that day. Even he needs to ride. He should ride. He'll do it. His Whoop's probably wrong, and he'll definitely have a terrible ride just because I think there is certainly, like, obviously data is important, and this entire sport is like based off mountains of data, but there's something to be said for just, taking a step back and just having fun with it.
I haven't posted this because would come across as me being critical of WKO, which is an amazing freaking tool. And I've
Yeah.
asked certain people at Training Peaks, and there's a couple ways that it interprets your data, and it'll have like Pmax, which is, without getting into super definitions for people who don't know these, like
Mm.
Pmax is your sprint, and it'll have FRC, your ability to do work over FTP, and there was one other one. And then they also match up your 5 second best power, your 5 minute power, and your 20 minute power. And the worded ones will be like, you're trending up, you're neutral, or you're down. And then the same thing for the ones below. And they literally, so Pmax and 5 second were the exact opposite. 20 minute and FTP were exact opposite. And it was VO2 max and 5 minute were the exact opposite. And I screenshot it and sent it to
What?
and I was like, can you explain this? This is like, I don't want to put this in the Facebook group because it's going to make me look like I'm like, hey, look, this doesn't work. This is wrong. And people get very defensive there. And he's like, so there has to be a way that this is getting interpreted within the algorithms. But yeah, like this is an interesting scenario. And it's happened a few times. And I'm just like, tools aren't perfect. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a knock on WKO. It can't do everything perfect every time, but you need to use your brain and think about it. So it's like the whoop, that's what everybody says. Like, what do you think about when it tells me that I'm tired? I'm like, do you feel tired? They're like, no, I feel great.
I feel fucking great. Yeah.
Go.
Did you get a response from Training Peaks back from
The person I said, hey, he's like, you'd have to like ask somebody WKO, and I just don't care. I don't use that. I just
I see.
Yeah, I was cleaning up some like basic charts or what they call dashboards and taking it off. And I was like, well, that's really weird. Why are those not? And so, and usually it's pretty accurate. Like, this is neutral, this is neutral, this is trending down, this is trending down. But yeah, it's never super accurate. And that's why I never use it to show athletes, because it's kind of not, I don't think trends, we won't go down that wormhole, but trends can be super deceiving if you're improving or if you're not. And you can, as a coach, you could make the data look good or you could make it look bad.
I think of that, like the Strava fitness trend where, people can see like your fitness, like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know those are like loaded in, they have some algorithms that are decent, but it's just kind of like, obviously if you're riding, you're not always stair stepping. Like at some point you're going to start fatiguing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're getting more fit, but you just rode the past 5 weeks.
Yeah.
You might need to let that go down a little bit. Yeah. What do you think on the converse side of, so you're super punchy. So what does that leave as a weakness? What are you the worst at? And is it something that you think you need to try to improve on to get better in the P1 domestic scene here in the States?
I would say I definitely am a horrific time trialist. Like if just a pancake flat course, just like getting aero and grinding is has been my weakness on the bike since like day one. I don't know. I've definitely gone through phases where like I've trained super hard at it. I've like done okay sometimes in, some solo breakaways, like in local races and things like that. But I definitely do not have like I wouldn't rely on my time trial in like some stage racing scenario. So that is definitely something and I think a lot of that too probably has to come with like, I don't really care much about my, like the aeroness of my fit. I kind of like, one of my friends called me like the anti-aero for a little while. It's just not something I focus on. Like I've always had better results in some races with like some punches and elevation. So it's kind of like, that's what I gravitated towards, I guess. But yeah, definitely time trialing, I would say.
Do you work on that at all? Those 1 to 2 minute punches, or is that just purely like your natural physiological strength? That, I mean, people who haven't ridden behind Forrest, when he gasses it and it's 8%, just wave goodbye. It's fast.
Nah, dude, I really don't. Like, I think it's just kind of like a natural way. Like I'm spastic. I don't know, man. You can see I had way too much coffee I've had way too much coffee this morning. Like it's just kind of, I've always ridden like that. And like, I think when I was like a Cat 3, people were like, dude, like simmer, like if when you take pulls, like, I've definitely gotten smoother in breakaways. Like, don't get me wrong. When I was like a Cat 3, I was like pulling through like at 500 watts, every time, just dropping everybody. But I'm definitely smoother than I once was. But it is, yeah, I don't know, it's just definitely a natural like explosiveness, I guess.
Are you in the gym or not worth it?
I love the gym. I would say I hit the gym pretty heavily in the winter. Not so much when I start racing. I really think like lifting affects my training to a point where like I feel like I don't get good cycling in like a couple days, at least like 3 or 4 days after like I lift, even if I'm going light. I know I've talked about this with Brock one time, but like you need to leave the gym like you feel like you have a lot left in the tank. And I don't know. I mean, that's like, again, I'm kind of just like my gym work is kind of structured almost the way my cycling has been this past year. Is like, like throw up weight, fuck it. Like, no, yeah. Like no real, like obviously building and, trying to get stronger, but like no serious metrics in it. So I think it's probably good to cut that out. And, do it in the winter, like get some weight but I definitely think I was lifting heavy right now, I'd be hurting myself.
Interesting. So are you a volume or intensity guy, or how do you look at the blending of the two?
Volume or intensity? I would say I certainly like volume. I think volume is irreplaceable. I know you're probably very much so in that camp. But as we gear into the summer and like a lot of racing, I think I definitely start to trade volume for intensity workouts, just when I can, and to get those intervals in. Like I really have a hard time, I think, coming into like the summer and like hot racing, and like when things start heating up, like I really need to do some intensity, and because yeah, that's what gets me fit, I think.
So when you've mentioned intervals a few times, what are maybe your top 2 or 3 that you go to?
I go crazy on like some over unders for sure.
Cool.
And maybe that might play into like some punchiness, but I definitely think like when I do those, I can like destroy myself in, say, like maybe 3 sets of like 10-minute, like 30-30s, or 7-minute set of like 30-30s. So like longer and just going all in. Like I love to just like limp back from a set of intervals.
So your over under is more like totally on and totally off.
I wouldn't say totally. No. I mean, I'd say it's like 30 on, and then like 30 above threshold, 30 below threshold. That would be, and cool. And I'll do it. I'll do maybe like some 20-40s or something where it's like 20 seconds, like all like as hard as I like attack, chill, attack, chill, almost like attack, sit on, or. But I would say in general, I'll when say like going into like Athens or something, I made sure I like executed. I had like some solid blocks of 30 seconds, above threshold, 30 seconds under threshold. And this is again all based on feel. This is no power meter in this, but you can tell if you're over threshold. Like that's a basic, basic. And then kind of keeping that 30 under, making sure like you're still on the power, you're still like on the gas during that period.
The 10-minute duration is becoming the most common duration that athletes have been talking about on this podcast. And it makes me super happy because I think it's been the most ignored duration for the longest time, because I shouldn't say people, myself included, as power became more prevalent, it was the 20-minute test. There was the 5-minute quote unquote VO2 max test. And Grant Kuntz was one of the first people on the podcast that we talked. He's like, I think 10-minute power is the make or break for so many races in the US. And it's just not, it's that riding above threshold, and it's uncomfortable, but you got to go do it and get better at it. And 10-minute power is not 100% FTP, or you will not be in the bike race very long if it's a road race. So it's good to hear you say that.
That is true. Yeah. I love that, like 7 to 10 minute kind of interval mark for like just destroying yourself. I think I always feel good. Like, a couple days after that, I'll feel that in the bank for sure.
What do you prefer, stage race or one-day race, and how come?
Oh, dude, stage race for sure. I'm a day two kind of guy. I don't know. I like. I always feel. I love having like to be able to like race and then be able to be like, oh, like today wasn't, if I whatever did bad stage one, you're like, there's another day, and that's what cycling's like all about to me. Like those, you're kind of like you're going on like a campaign, like you're like with your homies, like I love stage races. I love the environment. Like I mean, obviously big crits are fun, like those are sick, but yeah, I'm better in stage races too. Like just
Well,
as
so you
a
just said
rider.
something that made it sound like all one days are crits, which is kind of becoming a thing of
Oh,
ethos. But
yeah.
yeah, I prefer one day road race, but for different reasons. But I will say like this, like Ecuador or even RIP Joe Martin, for those of us that aren't in the pro race, that's now just crits. Yeah, not having any road stage races is kind of a bummer because that vibe is so sick. Even I wish there were more omniums. I used to do so many of those in the Amish
Yeah.
country of Pennsylvania. And shout out Drew Skull, shout out the Mount Bora guys. Oh my God, man. The ice cream, like just at night before you go to bed, you're like, today was sick. Maybe we didn't win. Tomorrow we get to go race
Tomorrow,
again.
yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and it is like if you do like a gnarly stage race with, a bunch of random guys, like you're gonna be homies afterwards. Like it's like just such like a bonding
I will never
experience.
forget when you rolled into the hotel room in Ecuador with your cardboard box. I was like, this dude brought a bike and a cardboard box all the
Oh,
way
dude,
to
that's the
Ecuador.
that's the G
I know
move,
everybody
dude.
does that. I did not. I had like the tank case where what's his name? The DS was like, what the hell is that thing? He's like cardboard
Yeah.
box, bro. I was like,
Dude,
sorry.
I remember that very vividly, rolling into the hotel room. It was like you and Matt just being like, yeah, dude, like
Yeah,
what up?
so sick.
Oh my
Um,
God. Oh,
I'm
dude,
curious. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that another dude with just like crazy vibes who you need to have this kid on the podcast is Ian. Damn, why can't I remember his last name?
You told me about
Ian
this
Lopez.
kid.
Ian Lopez. Yeah, dude, he is so fucking funny. Like I'm sure a bunch of your listeners know him, but he is hilarious. Like
You need to make a connection for me
yeah,
so I don't
I'll
have
hook
a
you up and
blank.
get him on. And dude, he's
Yeah.
he's like the ultimate
He's the guy that
ultimate
went back to Ecuador the next year and was slain.
Yeah, he slayed. He had never, so when he went to Panama with us, so he was like coming out of like the gravel mountain bike scene. He was like 19. Like the kid is the real deal. Like this kid he shreds so hard. He's so sick. And he had never done a real stage race. He was like a cat 3, he's like a cat 1 mountain biker, like auto cat 3 road and he's like, yeah, dude, like never done a road race. And he gets like fourth on like the first mountain stage comes just U23 Jersey by a mile. Like he's climbing with some very sus kind of like some dopey dudes. And we're like, what, dude? Like, how did you get up here? And he's like, oh no, man. Like, I just fucking ripped. Like, I just went up that thing. And yeah, he killed it. He slayed so hard. He went to Ecuador and was like, I mean, he definitely top 20 the GC, I think there, which is
Wow.
insane. Yeah, like
Yeah.
as you know, that's a real deal.
No, I don't know. I have no idea.
But
I was nowhere near the
uh,
finish of the stage race. I don't even know what top 20 smells like. I'm like, oh, you guys are still racing? I've been over here doing my own thing for 2 days.
yeah, God.
RIP. Got dropped to the. Yeah, we won't even go down that road. That was too funny. What is something that's underrated in cycling right now?
Underrated, like equipment or
You tell me.
training.
Both,
Underrated. Oh
both
shit,
of
I got it.
those.
I got it. My bike, I currently have SRAM red mechanical to mechanical discs. And like I feel like we've been sold just bullshit with hydraulic discs recently. I love my mechanical discs. They're light, they work well. You have to adjust them. They're good. I mean, SRAM red mechanical, it's like a mechanical 11 speed. So it's like the like double tap, like cha-ching, cha-ching. Like it's tight. I like it. So I think everybody's going to go back to SRAM red 12, 11 speed. Oh, you can actually change them to 12 speed. There's like a company, shout out to Ratio Components, I think is what they're called. I've seen some dudes do some like sick builds where like you can change the internals of the SRAM red 11 speed. and you can change it up to like 12 speed or down if you wanted. But yeah, they do like some rebuild kits on those things that are badass.
So why does everybody say SRAM when there's no H?
Shram. Shram.
SRAM,
Wait,
right? Everybody says SRAM though. I don't get it. I don't really. Is it still one button? That also like puzzles me. Why would you want one button?
dude, I love it, man. It's like,
yeah,
like it's visceral. It's like what? It's just like, it's like some sort of just, it's like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. You pull that little trigger and it's like you're firing your drivetrain. It's like going to the shooting range, dude. You're just
I think, to be fair, the reason that I can't stand SRAM is because I had it on a cross bike and it was SRAM Rival, whatever the worst one is. So the gears were the gears were mucked up anyways because it was just super dirty. I suck at cross. It's cold out. My bike won't shift, and whatever it is, what's the it's not a javelin, what's the big heavy metal ball that they throw in track and field where they grab it and they do a circle and then launch it? That's what I wanted to do with this bike. And I was so pissed off. I was like, I'm never doing a cross race again. And Rick, I sold that bike, and here we go. Curious on this one, group ride or solo smash?
Oh, dude, I love group rides. Like I certainly, do my intervals by myself, or, if I'm like really like looking to train. But like I would say like one of my favorite things to do training wise is like go do a group ride. There's like a great group ride here that's like Saturday at 8 a.m. and you just go with, it's like 2 hours and some change. And then like afterwards I'll go and do some intervals. Like I think I ride bikes to like race with my friend, like there's no substitute for just fucking off with your friends, like sprinting to a stop sign or something. Like I just love the mental aspect, that the fun that comes with that.
I'm gonna post this the most ignored workout that I've ever given is town line sprints. And I'll explain to people, hey, when there's a town line, you and your friend tell your friends that's the sprint line, because you turn the corner or something, so like, oh damn, there's Lions, Tennessee, and you sprint for that thing. If you don't have town lines in Tennessee, actually, ironically, they use stop ahead signs. And there's way more of those. So you kind of got to be, pick which ones. But it's that practicing when to go and the timing that is irreplaceable. And I would give people this workout and it would be an endurance ride. I'm like, that's great that you did a 5-hour endurance ride, but you're supposed to throw in these random sprints because you're a bike racer. So you go, what's the name of that Saturday ride?
In Savannah, it's like called Perry Rubber Ride.
God, you're in Savannah now. I was thinking ATL.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ATL is like they have the airport ride, which is like, dude, the airport. If anybody is familiar, it is just the gnarliest Sunday ride you could possibly do in the winter. It's like there's Artem Schmidt will be there, like Roscoff will show up, like you're just like, what is going on here, dude?
You're going for a long ride. Let's say you're going to the Perry ride, then you do intervals. What's the nutrition? What are you taking with you?
Oh, dude. Okay. So I have been going hard on the sugar in the bottles recently. Just I'll use like a little bit of Gatorade powder. And I think last time I spoke to you were doing like 60 grams of sugar in some big bottles. I've been just like, absolutely, I'll load up one of my bottles like to almost the consistency of like gel, just like absolute sugar. And because then I can drink it. And like I don't know, like dehydration hasn't really affected me from doing that so far. So I think it is.
Do you know how many grams you're putting in that?
I have a scale. I'm definitely over 100, I would say, in a 24-ounce bottle for sure.
24 ounce. Okay.
I haven't measured recently, but like, certainly over 100 grams a bottle.
Yeah. So to clarify, so I'm doing 70 grams in a normal bottle, which is like 20 ounces. And Landry, though, does, I want to say 150 or 200 grams in one bottle. And
one bottle.
Water. And that like goo.
Dude, it's tight. It's underrated. Like more people need to do that for sure. It is.
It's amazing.
It's like making your own goo. And then, you can refill your bottle. I'll ride with 3 bottles a lot also. And so like you can have like a water down bottle on your back, and you can, use that if you need it. But yeah, the hardcore sugar is tight. I'm out of gels, and like it didn't even stress me out because I was like, just load it up, dude.
I love that. I no longer am like, oh wait, I need to have the 7 days to make sure I get my order in, make sure it's in stock, get it shipped to me. Now I just go to any grocery store. It's $3 for a bag of sugar. Michael Garrison from Action was on the podcast. He was doing that. He
Yeah.
brought this up, and I was like, "No, dude,
Shout out
you're
my boy. What's up, Michael?
yeah. What's up, Michael? He was a good podcast. Yeah,
He's a
I'm
homie.
really big fan of the DIY. You started to go down equipment besides the SRAM. Anything else interesting about the equipment stick out, or new or exciting?
Not really. I mean, I'm on like it's a shout out Windspace. It's like ride bike sponsor. I really love my Windspace. It's a little smaller, I'd say, than like a Specialized like Tarmac or so.
Mhm.
So, I'd say people should be wary of that, but like it rips. It really handles super well.
How are the
Rides
wheels?
good.
Loon wheels do you have?
The loon wheels are sick. Yeah, yeah. I inherited like a used pair from the team, and I think they're still in the process of sending out like new ones. But mine have kind of gone out of true a little bit, but they're like so, and it's an internal nipple, so you kind of gotta like take off the tire, and I need to true them out right now. But they are sick. Like they feel really nice. I don't really have anything bad to say about them.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice you would give to a newer cyclist? We're coming back to advice questions, and this might tie into the best piece of advice you've received.
Oh man.
Actually, let me not bring in the stumper again. What would you tell a newer cyclist who's like, Forrest, I saw you came on the extended podium last year at Road Nats. I want to get to where you're at. What should I go do?
There's no substitute for just riding, man. Like you gotta like cycling is literally like if you train, if you like really buckle down and like you gotta make some sacrifices. Like there's gonna be times when, on a Saturday your homies hit you up and you're like, yeah, dude, like we're going out, we're gonna get drunk or whatever, and you gotta be able to like say, no, dude, like I gotta go train. I would say that is probably like there's certainly no shortcuts. And as you get better, like you see the strong, the dudes who are gonna jump up to world tour or whatever, like they're grinding even harder. Like, like everything, like it's insane how hard you have to go to be really good. And I mean, you're a perfect example of that. Like, you got to eat clean. You got to do everything. You got to get a 25-hour week on the bike, and you got to get 9 hours of sleep. Like, if you want to get super sick, like those are the things that you got to do.
I appreciate you putting me in that sentence, but man, I'm not the person to look at. Maybe now my training regimen, but when I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing with cycling and where I was taking it, I was still doing 12 to 15-hour weeks. No one was preaching to me about doing gym work all the time, about doing more hours. I would look at the guys on the NRC teams and I'm like, what are they doing? That there was no, Strava did not exist. You didn't have access to people. Like, what are these guys doing that they just look like they're more athletic than me? And it's like, well, dude, they don't drink alcohol during the season. They don't go out and party on the weekends. Like you said, they sleep more. I had a big conversation with Frank Overton because I was coached by a Fast Cat coach, Jason, my first coach. And Frank was straight up with me, and I respected the hell out of him for saying this. He was like, dude, if you want to go to the next level and you have a shot at it from what we're seeing now, you need to not be in a hospital selling medical devices all day. And you need to go to some of these like really, really big races as often as possible. And I don't regret it, but that was the choice that I was like, dude, I want to grow this business. And I just didn't have the fortitude. You can do both, but I had all these other distractions going on in my life. It wasn't just work and cycling. And you just got to be focused as hell in the sport if you want to become your best. Screw telling yourself you're going pro. If you want to see your best, you need to put some focus to it. And I just didn't even realize what that meant at that point in time. So wish I could turn back time, but I can't. So now I'm just going ham and whatever.
Oh, dude, legend.
I don't know about that. Finish this sentence. I never ...
I never ride without shitting. It's very important. It's very important to poop.
We're going to put a parental discretion on this episode. So would you?
Sorry, I didn't ask like a cuss question. Like, are we?
We usually don't, but you know what? This is part of this podcast is that I'm really going in on these interviews, and I think I just need to let them free flow. So
demonetized.
Definitely demonetized. This will be the first one when I upload it. It's like, do you have curse words? I'll be like, yes, a lot of them. This is not for children. So
sorry.
you're doing you don't gravel at all, do you?
Dude, I wanted to get into gravel this season. It was certainly kind of on my radar. I have a cross bike. It's like an all city steel bike. And I was planning on like attempting to race it, but I did some group rides on it and I'm just so slow on it. Like if I was to show up at one of these big gnarly gravel races and like expect and like want to hang with the dudes like I want to hang with, like I think I'd get waxed. Like I need to get
you would.
bike.
I was gonna say if you bring that to Blowing Rock, I'm gonna leave you out there for dead because it's not even
you get waxed for sure.
You get waxed. But so the reason I was gonna ask you that is because these races start at 6 a.m. So if you're Captain Doogie and you gotta go before you ride, what would you be doing? And I don't mean to be in your business, no pun intended. This is an important question that screws people over. Because they'll be like, I couldn't poop before this race, or the race was super early.
Dude, you gotta poop.
What's your technique though? What if are you gonna get up at 4 a.m. for a 6 a.m. race, or what are you doing?
I would say.
Or are you so regular that it's just
a 7 a.m. race? Like
6 a.m. race.
Okay, 6 a.m. Oof, dude, yeah. I have to be up at least like an hour and a half before like a group ride. So like say if you're on the start line for like you're staying on the start line for a 6 a.m. race, you gotta be up at 4 just to like slam coffee, like slam 2 cups of coffee if you can't poop.
I think it's important though, because people forget how long it actually takes to make coffee when you're in a rush and then fill a bottle. Like 2 hours can go very quickly. I'm the same with you. I'm up super early. The not stressing is way worth it to me versus the extra 30 minutes of sleep that I'm going to get. For sure. Absolutely. And actually, I'm going to throw in my own 2 cents on this one. If you do have a super early race like that, the week of, start getting up really early. It's like a Band-Aid. It sucks the first time, but then the next few mornings it's great, and then you get to the event and it's normal, and then you can just shift back afterwards. Yeah. But
I've heard people doing like rolling their sleeping schedule back like 30 minutes every time, but that seems like a lot of logistics and planning that go into that. Like I kind of like your technique of just rip the Band-Aid off a week before and try it out.
See, I think the reason people do that is they don't want to wake up at 4 every day and up to that. I would rather just do it.
That's true.
But I actually used to do that for amateur road nats used to be at 7. Oh, actually it still is pretty damn early. Was it?
Yeah, it was 7. It was 7. Yeah. So my breakfast that morning was like coffee, Pringles, and a PB&J. This past road, and I was like slam coffee, like eating Pringles in the car, like just everything I could get.
It's gonna. Are you gonna go? Wait, are you guys gonna go this year again?
I think so. I think we were planning to do pro nats also, which I've never done. So that should be high. I know Brock wants to do it. That course probably suits me. It's just we'll see how it is. Yeah, see if I can hang. So
I was off camera. I was super humble. Michael, what was it? Well, I'm not gonna say this other guest who is gonna come on after you. We were talking, we were going to cross paths, and he said, "Aren't you gonna be a pro nats?" I said, "Oh, that's so nice of you to say that." No, I don't belong in that race. Like, but that course, and he said that course is good for you. I said, "Dude, what are you talking?" He's like, "You smash power." I'm like, "Dude, I don't think up that climb 15 times."
You do have every KOM on,
That's different than a race where it's repeated and
east of Tennessee. So.
Not true. You had mentioned inspiration, and you're just very hyped to ride the bike and to get out there to ride with your friends. But is there anything that when you think of pushing forward and becoming kind of your best self? And I know, you're in Savannah, you're getting a new degree now. What's kind of like, what inspires you to keep going forward as a human or a cyclist? But is there some more curious that's kind of driving people?
Man, I would say I've been just really into, I guess trying to be the best version of myself. Like just doing things that I know are good for me. Like, you know, going back to school for like even doing like big races, they can be so like they can rattle your nerves sometimes. Like you've prepared, like there's always a chance you do bad. And like those experiences are like doing something that's hard. So pushing yourself in all aspects of life. I certainly have been trying to do. And yeah, being like super mindful. I've been kind of into some mindfulness and like meditation recently. So that is definitely just kind of something that keeps me grounded. But yeah, that's for a different podcast, man. I'll get on the meditation space.
Dude, well,
talk about that.
Sick. I'm actually coming out with another podcast in a little bit, so we'll do that. But is that something you do every morning, every night? How do you work that into your life?
I would say I try. So I just finished this book. It's called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And it's by like some famous dude. It's like a mindfulness like classic, I guess. Like anybody who's like kind of into mindfulness knows this book. But it's just kind of like little stories about, you know, grounding yourself in the moment and like just being like this moment right now is the beginning of the rest of your life, and kind of like, you know, how do you want to be moving forward? And I if I have time, like I'll just take maybe 10 minutes in the morning and try to like sit and focus on your breath, like legitimately, like classically, I guess, meditate. But yeah, then also trying to be mindful in every aspect of living, like trying to exist in the moment.
That's awesome. I love that. What do you think as you're going through your day, then maybe you finished a meditation and you're moving forward, as you look back at the end of the day, what's one of the biggest things you think that has the biggest return to your success in sport, or maybe just life, because we're kind of going down a life path with this, something that you do every day that really just has a positive impact? And maybe it is the meditation, maybe it's something else.
I would say like maybe stemming from being mindful, like I've really tried to act like I wouldn't say altruistically, but like in just be like super moral in every interaction I have, and just be like, you know, like projecting, like try to be as positive as possible, because, you know, sometimes that's hard. Like I'll run into people throughout my day and I'll be like, damn dude, that person's having like a hard day, like let's, you know, what can I do to try to, like, you know, just give them like a there you go buddy, or something like that. Like just stupid shit like that, I guess. Like
it's not stupid, man.
No, and that comes back like, and then it's almost like selfish in a way. It's like, you know, even that altruistic action is good for our own soul here. So that's, yeah, man, we could get this deep.
I love it. Yeah, I love hearing that. What are you looking forward the most to this year in cycling? Maybe it's a particular race, maybe it's a particular, I don't know. I want to leave that way open-ended because you're going down some awesome avenues.
I'd say I definitely I'm pretty stoked to do pro nats. I think that'll be just a cool experience. And I don't know. I guess I would do amateur nats. I mean, I don't know. I know there's a debate. Like if you do one, you can't do the other. And dude, I mean, so many guys do it, I guess, like whatever. But I'm
for it. I think if you guys went and did pro nats and Ride Bikes comes and do amateur nats, that's great. You guys are an amateur team. If you can get into pro nats, do it. For those that don't know why we're laughing, it's because when Forrest came 5th last year, messages flew into me that were, whoa, you guys won amateur nats, because Project Echelon and Best Buddies was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we were they were amateur teams also at that point in time, but they did pro nats and they obviously have budgets, and we were kind of just like, who the hell is Velobrew? No offense to that, not saying it as a notch to that team, but people just didn't know who we were, and there was only 3 of us. It was me, you, and Matt. And so now it's funny that Forrest might do the same thing to us, but we'll talk about off camera. I'm realizing I try in these podcasts I forget that I'm having a podcast with you, and I'm kind of just catching up with you and chatting and like, so talking my side. and I've been trying to shut up about things I want to say because it's about
No,
Forrest.
no, dude, go. What do you
No, I was gonna
got?
say I hope to be there this year, but I'm going with Chris to France, and I land back like 48 hours before the race starts, which is at like
Oh,
7 o'clock again. And on paper, it doesn't sound bad. But I'm thinking, am I gonna want to land, get
no, that'd
home,
be brutal,
pack
dude.
up the bags, and I'll be on their time, which is actually better because then I would be up super early
Okay.
anyways. I don't know, but
I
it's
don't know. Yeah,
also
maybe. Yeah.
wouldn't that be funny? That's my secret weapon. But also, I'd have no stress. I'm like, I really enjoyed that course, and I got shelled the last lap after I tried to do the hero pull, and it would be different. I'd be rolling solo this year, and just hey, I'm gonna sit in. So I don't know. I'm also trying to go see a buddy in Ohio later that weekend because I'm hoping this race is Thursday. I can get to Ohio and do this mega gravel race, but
Ooh.
I'm I mean, I think I'm asking to like be really tired right now when I think about it. So maybe not. We'll see. I got a couple more for you before I let you go. What are the top three skills to success in life? You've hit a lot of gems already. Try to not recycle them. And what are three things that we should, as human, be focused on for success?
That's humans. Oof, dude. Asking these deep questions. I mean, I guess from all outside perspectives, people would look at me and be like, oh, he's like not classically successful in like a capitalist kind of way. Like, I've kind of been a bike bum the past like couple years working at bike shops, but I have been like super happy, and that brings me, that's awesome that that I've been able to achieve, just happiness and riding with my friends.
I don't think I actually want to like
Uh,
interrupt you because I don't think you should ever
uh,
call yourself a bike bum. And I think, you're kind of poo-pooing on the position of someone who's working on bikes. And, I
as
was,
okay, touche. Yeah, yeah. No disrespect to
and the
like
only
my
reason I will say the only
the
reason I will
bike.
say this is because this actually I was in an interaction where one of my closest friends, he now owns a truck store, and excuse me, they haven't sold out. He's probably would kill me if I said that. He owns a bike shop. They're a massive truck dealer, and at the time he was a mechanic, and I was in the shop. It was maybe my second year racing, and I was working on my wheels in there, and this dude came in who was kind of a d-bag, and he said, oh, you work at the bike shop here? And he like had seen me around a race. I said, no, I saw a medical device. He goes, oh, you have a real job. And my buddy heard that, and I was like, yo, dude, that's the most dick thing to say in a bike shop. You just like crapped on people. That's so rude. I can't believe you would say that. And
I
so
mean, dude.
I'm super sensitive to when people bash on what anybody's
I
choosing
mean,
to do as a career. So
that's true. I mean, I love working at the bike shop. Like, and when I've told many people this, but like, I think if I ever am at a point where like I'm gonna classically, retire, like I would first day I would, roll into my nearest bike shop and be like, hey, dude, I'm 65. Like, I'll wrench till I fucking die. Like, let's go. like, like the vibes are good.
Rob, I'm coming for you, man. I'm gonna be working it. I don't know if I could go back to New York. It's too cold there, but maybe I'll be a summer intern. And
So, yeah.
they're like, yo, who's this old dude at the shop who's here for like 2 months? That's
The
Brendan.
intern, right?
All right, so number one,
Yeah.
what was number one? You were going down a good path, but it was like uh
Keys to success. Always be happy in
find
what you do.
happiness.
Yeah,
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 cool.
yeah. Always be happy in what you do. Number two, you gotta put in the work. Like, you gotta wake up and you gotta like look at the dudes who are grinding and be like, that's it. Like, I gotta grind. Like, if I want it, I gotta grind for it.
Finding inspiration, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. And then number three, I guess, would be mindful in everything you do. Like, know that your actions have reactions, and be aware of that.
Mm. Are you religious at all?
I'm not, dude. I'm like a straight up kind of atheist.
Hmm. Where does mindfulness sort of, I don't want to say Zen because I think that's the wrong term that I'm like overusing, but is
Just
there
kind of
like,
like
yeah.
curiosity, I guess. It
Mm.
probably stems from cycling, like just being out, like being in your own mind for hours on end. Like, I think there's like a lot to learn about yourself. Like, we our bodies are kind of like, we all are our own eye. Like, you can't look back in your own eyeball, and it's kind of like the same with your persona. So it's like, be aware of what your existence is.
Dude, I love this, man. This was incredible. This was extremely amazing podcast.
Really.
Any final words for the people? We're gonna post Forrest. He's not really big on social media. You're gonna have to hit him up at the nearest yoga studio, like studio.
Let's go, dude.
At the Savannah group rides. You might see him
I'll be
NC
slaying
Mountain slaying.
Yeah. We'll
What's the next race?
Sure.
What are the next couple races?
Next, so I'm doing like collegiate nationals with SCAD. That'll be tight. That's in Albuquerque. Actually, you've done that course, right?
Yeah, man.
Dude, how is that course?
Altitude is a thing for sure.
Okay.
I would go out the day before the race if possible. I stayed in this little town that was almost the same altitude as Blowing Rock, and then I drove in, got my number, went to bed, woke up into the race the next day, felt fine. 2 days later, I felt like Dookie and was like, time to go. That's for me on clockwork now. Like the 5 times I've been around altitude to race, it's been the third day I feel terrible. And so the course is kind of rolly, nothing crazy, very wide open. Heartbreak Hill is kind of like a little blip, and it doesn't flatten out, but it like chills for a second, and then it's just super steep for I could look at the KOM, maybe 2 minutes. Do you know what is actually the exact? I don't know if you rode up here in Blowing Rock. The road I live off of, if you go from Blowing Rock, if you go up Sunset all the way and take a left on Mockingbird, that is literally the exact same I'm gonna say like elevation
profile,
yeah, almost the very, very similar to recreate. So I just did a couple rips of that because I didn't know if my gear would be enough. I think I only had a 28 at that point in time.
You're fine with the 28.
Yeah, racing of it. 39.28.
Okay.
And so you get to the top of that, and then it's flat, and then it's like down, it's kind of sloping downhill through the feed zone, so that really stinks. So I would bring it's tough. I did not carry all my no, I did carry all my bottles because I was worried I would not be able to get one, and I was just getting ice socks. It was in the middle of summer. It was really hot that day.
So you rode with 3 bottles?
I did, and because people were missing them, and also there was a team that they do jerky things all the time, and one of the riders rode through and was knocking people's bottles, and I rode up.
What, dude?
Yeah, they've done it before. Then the next lap they attacked through the feed zone, and I was like, this is not surprising because everyone says they hate your team, and now I see why. And yeah, these guys are always up to something, and it is so irritating. It's like. It's Masters Nats. It's like you're old now. Go like we're all crotchety. We're in age groups. Whoa, that is.
I think I know. I think I know who it is. I'm not weird.
Yeah, I don't say it. Anybody that looks at the list, you can pick out the team because everybody complains about this team all the time. So, anyways, yeah, it'll be good. So it's good for you. I don't think you'll have any problem getting over that with whatever the front group is. It's and then a punchy, not finish, but it's like a stair step on the backside, and it comes up to this main road. You take a right, and then you're ripping down this road for maybe 2 minutes, and you take a left. If they do, hopefully they change the finish. It was a left into a neighborhood, and then it was like it was a curved sprint. And so that's when I don't know if we actually weren't friends at this point in time. When I won there was Owen Schott was like, dude, you have to be first through the turn left-hand corner because then you go down this dip and it's up and around a corner. So when I went to recon it, you take the left, I go down the dip, and there's this like hole in the road. And so I'm like, okay, go to the right. So I'm close, the apex, the shortest point of a corner, right? I'm like, you stay to the right of that and fly through the finish. I take the left, and I ended up last minute deciding to go get a cooler with ice socks, so I didn't ride over to the finish to look at it again. We start this race, we go around, take the left-hand turn, so I'm full gas, like eyes popping out of my skull. There's barriers there that day, so you can't go to the right. So I'm like going to the right at 30 whatever miles an hour. I'm like, oh damn, the hole is right here. And I jump the hole on my bike and land, and obviously keep going straight because you can't turn in air. And that's when one of the guys had an issue with me, said I deviated my line. I said, dude, I was in the air going over that pothole, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to ride over that at 40 miles an hour. And he protested, but he lost because it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then it was on.
Oh yeah, you got
crit videos and crit drama. And people were like, wow, you're, yeah. So I felt good.
Yeah.
Corey Williams like laughed. He was like, dude, is this really a protest?
This is, yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's good to know then.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that
course. You guys?
It's like the SCCCC.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, this is like national, so it's gonna should be good. Stoked.
Oh, sorry. So like, what is it? D1, D2, D3?
Yeah. It's like
what
D1.
Are you guys? D1.
D1. Yeah.
Cool.
What was the wind like on that course? Actually,
it was. I would look up my windsock, which I haven't used, but people talk about this all the time. And you can look historically. I believe it was coming from the north because the feed zone, I think, had a tailwind. Okay. It was windy because there were times when if you wanted to, like, we got down to a group of 8 at one point. 2 people couldn't stay away. Like, we were trying to, and just, it would always get real bad. Numbers was way faster than just strength.
Yeah. Okay. That's
do a good lap. I think a lap casually is maybe an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I would ride it once before if you guys have time.
Yeah. On paper, like should be a good course for my style. So we'll see. I'm stoked, dude. And then let's go. Yeah. After that, I don't know, man. Probably just do some local stuff. Pro nats. Let's go.
Cool. All right, man. Thanks for doing this. And any last final words?
Nah, dude. Just
let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Cut.